I think his policies are very important to African Americans. I'm from a predominantly African American city, Baltimore, but a lot of us as African Americans don't understand that we need to vote for Trump. We keep the narrative that he's a racist is a false narrative. We know it's a false narrative. It's a push. He wasn't called a racist until he started running for office. Before then, he was hanging out with every rapper, in the city. So how can he be a racist up until one point, and then all of a sudden he's a racist all of a sudden? But his policies, we need to not vote for personality. We need to vote for policies. His policies are for everybody, and he's done so many things for African Americans. The Second Chance Act, low unemployment rate, and he's given to historic black colleges. So we need to keep those policies and push forward with his policies and keep that momentum and not vote different when it come up. The Democrats have nothing for us but death on their platform, and most of their platforms do nothing but destroy the African American community. We know that. We say we want to change, but we're afraid to make the change because of his personality. I get it. A lot of people don't like him, but like his policies, and you cannot lose those policies as African Americans. A lot of people are going to say, "Oh, you're wrong for supporting him and everything like that." No, I'm not wrong for supporting him. We need to keep those policies, and we need to keep that momentum in the African American community moving forward.
Yeah, I think it's important to note, like you said, unemployment for the African American community specifically as it is at an all-time low, and you can't dispute facts. What would you say to your African American counterparts that argue that he hasn't done for the community what other people say he has?
Well, I would first of all tell them to look his policies up. We vote personality instead of voting policy. I told a friend about the low unemployment rate. He didn't even know it. I was talking to an African American friend of mine. He was like, "What did he do?" They keep asking, "What's his policies? What's his policy?" I said, "Haven't you heard about the low unemployment?" No, I didn't know that. All they know is, "Oh, he's a racist. He's a racist. He's a racist." That's a false narrative being pushed by the left. You can't just look at this election is so important. You can't look at personality. You have to look at policy. I used to vote like that too. Before I got with Walkaway. Walkaway helped me out a lot. She helped me out a lot to walk away from the Democratic Party. I was one of those people that voted on personality. I'll just look at the candidates and say which one's a nicer guy. Well, we can't do that because nice can be tricked nowadays.
Absolutely.
The people on the Democratic side will smile in your face and won't get your vote and won't give you nothing in return. We need to, at this point, look at President Trump's initiatives and policies and say those policies are working for the African American community, and we're going to move forward with that. It doesn't matter about his personality because we're not voting for him as a friend. We're voting for him as a president, and we're voting for those policies. We need to keep those policies in the African American community. Every African American should think about that, think about their vote moving forward, and every African American should think about it and vote Trump.
Absolutely. And going off of that, I'm just curious, what prompted that shift for you in terms of, looking at it versus, personality and then to policy? What prompted that shift, and how did that impact you, moving forward?
Well, Brandon Struck, I saw Brandon Struck video, the Walkaway video, and it made me think. Something clicked in my head. Then I saw Blexa came to Baltimore as well, and when she talked, something clicked, and I was like, these people are looking at information. They're not just looking at someone's personality and saying, well, I like him or dislike him. That's what we do, and everybody judges on that. And it was a click for me because at first I wasn't, so sold on Trump because of some of the things that he said. But some of the things that he said that people say are offensive, he says one thing and then he does another. Like in Baltimore, he said it was a rat-infested hole, and a lot of people in Baltimore were offended. But then he sent $1.8 billion to Baltimore to fix the problem. So
and you don't hear about that from the media.
You don't hear about the money the corruption in my city is overwhelming, and then the money disappeared. We need to be looking at that and not what he said.
Right.
Look at what he does. He sent $1.8 billion, B with a B behind it, a capital B at that,
Right.
and then his money just disappeared. His money could have fixed the whole city and everything. So it doesn't matter what he said. And that was the tipping point for me. And then I we came with the Walkaway group, and then they made me understand that it's not about someone's personality that's going to be in office for about 4 years. It's policies that last way beyond that. And President Trump policies are solid. You can't break them. So the African American need those policies and need to move forward at this
Right.
point. All African Americans, don't be afraid to vote for Donald Trump. Just pull a lever, tell your friends and everything. People will say that you're this and you're that, but it's really them that they're looking at the Democrats and they don't see no policy and just vote for somebody for absolutely nothing. Then they need to look at themselves and check themselves on the inside and say, am I voting for the right person? That's what we're not doing as an African American community, but a lot of people are waking up.
Absolutely. And I noticed you have an inauguration hat on. How was that experience for you?
Well, I like this hat better than the red hat because
I haven't seen one before. I love it.
Yeah, I ordered it offline, and I love wearing the hat. No one gives me flack about it and everything. It's like the red hat, there's a bullseye on your head.
Yeah.
But this hat is very patriotic. and it says, you know, strength for the president, and I love wearing it. You know, I wear it with pride.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. It was such a pleasure meeting you. I hope you guys have a great time today. Is there any shout outs you want to give to anyone watching or anything else you want to add before?
Hi, John.
Hi, Baltimore. Remember what I said. Vote policy, do not vote personality. Personality is over with. It's time in the future that we move on information.
Thank you guys so much.
Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas to you guys. Have a great time today. It was such a pleasure meeting you. Thank you guys.